if you're doing good quality work, if you have integrity, if you're the person that you would want installing your roof, you shouldn't have to compete at doors with some of the scumbags that are out there. Because the scumbags can knock on a door the same way you can. They can't access referral relationships.
Do you find that a lot of contractors that you're working with, that they're aware of what their time is truly worth?
The whole point of this is sharpening the axe, right? So we can be more efficient when we cut.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mike Stearns with Mission Control podcast, brought to you by Ascend Digital Agency. We've got our first episode today, and for that episode, you are in for a treat. We got a very special guest, Matthew Danskin with Restoration Referral Systems. Matt, thanks for coming on air.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, appreciate you having me.
Yeah, no doubt. So for you, those of you that don't know Matt, which I'm sure most of you do, I became acquainted with Matt over the last few years. He gained a lot of traction with a process and a system that he created for contractors to help them grow their business. He comes very highly recommended within the Facebook communities that we're in. I have clients of my own that have worked with Matt and have had great success. So, Matt, I'll turn it over to you to tell the viewers and the audience a little bit more about you and the company.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate it. I focus pretty narrowly on helping other contractors, like you said, create referral relationships with insurance agents. It's something that I found success in myself. So I have people ask me all the time, like, if I'm just like this random consultant that decided to like pick roofers as my niche.
There's a lot of those, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And, so it was something that I was doing, and really, I had no intentions of even being a consultant or training other people or teaching other people, and started having people reach out because they're like, hey, you figured this thing out. That's valuable to me. Can you teach it to me? And it's been really cool. It's kind of one of those like accidental like career shifts. But it's something that I find a lot of fulfillment in being able to take that thing the piece of business that I enjoy the most, and help people with that one piece. And so I don't have to do all the other pieces, which are not my favorite. Sure. But also I get to have the biggest impact because I'm focusing on that piece where my skill sets are strongest.
Okay, that's awesome, man. Yeah, you're doing a great job from every angle that I'm looking. So kudos to you for finding that, whether it be fortuitously, right, or or what have you. So you were in the space before, right? That's kind of how the process came about. So like, talk about how you got into the roofing business and how this came from Matt being a greenhorn into having this revolutionary system that really makes an impact on people.
Sure. Yeah. So like I kind of grew up in the construction field. So building new homes with my dad. From the time I was way too young to be on a construction site. Like got my first job framing houses. First job like not working for my dad, framing houses in between 7th and 8th grade.
Wow.
So I was, walking along the top of 2-story walls, setting trusses at 13 years old. And so, I kind of had that background, and I kind of took for granted the fact that like most people don't understand how to build a house, or like they don't understand how to frame or how to pour footers or, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And like, it's whatever. There's plenty of stuff I don't know how to do, but like that was just like what I grew up in knowing, and got out of college, studied business administration in 08, end of 08. And it was a great time to not get into construction. So I didn't really get into construction right away. I got, kind of got pushed into some sales stuff. Okay. And, thankfully I was able to kind of build a base of different sales stuff. And I've always been somebody that likes to learn and likes to, like, if I'm going to do sales, like I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to go take courses on stuff, and I'm going to like read books, and I'm going to like watch YouTube videos or whatever. Like I'm going to figure out sales if that's what I'm doing. And so I got pretty good at sales. And then I realized like, hey, I've got this construction background. I know how to do sales. And I sold a bunch of different things, but I started to realize like if you can take like a product that's a high dollar amount that has good margins, you can make more money,
Like a roof,
right?
guys.
Well, yeah, in a roof, really, I got into GC work first,
Okay.
and so I got into like high end remodel work. I mean, we would
Okay.
do $300,000-$400,000 remodels for people. We do $100,000 kitchen remodels, like which I'm looking at like, okay, like that's a big ticket. I can make good money on it, and I already kind of knew all the things I needed to know for that. But what doing that kind of made me realize was it's hard to replicate those sales at a high frequency,
Hmm.
right? And that's like the other piece of the math equation is like, okay, like how often can I sell $100,000 kitchen remodel, right? Like, and that's a lot of work, and you're
It's
dealing
a
with a lot
sub
of people
niche,
that,
right? Yeah.
yeah, it's a very specific niche, and also like if the economy takes a turn or whatever, how many people that would have spent 100 grand on a kitchen remodel are gonna push it off for a year or two, or they're gonna spend 50 instead of 100, or what, like there's a lot of vulnerabilities to that, and the company I was working for started a roofing division. I was like, wait a second, these projects take like a day. The insurance company's gonna pay for like 90% of the cost. That's not even sales anymore. That's just
Right.
like, that's stupid. When you're used to like telling someone, hey, we can make this amazing kitchen for you, but you need to give me $100,000 out of your bank account, or you need to go take a loan for 100 grand to do this. That's a lot harder sale than, hey, give me $1,000 and I'll give you a $15,000 project,
Yeah, the
right?
objections I
So
would imagine are a lot more frequent and robust when you're when you're trying to get a check stroke for 100
right, yeah,
grand.
when it's their money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and people do get a lot more excited about a kitchen than they do about a roof. So there's
Sure.
that piece of it. But also a high end kitchen remodel where we're gutting something out may take 3-4 months easily,
Right. Yeah.
versus a roof that the actual production of it's going to be a day, maybe two.
Right.
I'm not having to go inside their house. I'm not having to coordinate schedules with them. Like I'm not having to coordinate 5 different trades or whatever, like, or 8 different trades or what. Like it's simple, it's easy, it's replicatable. The ticket is still pretty high. The margins are still pretty high. And so that for me, I was like, I need to learn that.
Hmm.
And like if the economy goes bust or whatever, like times are good. Once they're not like if, but like when they're not, I don't want to be reliant on something that I can't control. And people are still going to get their $1,000 deductible paid and get their $15,000 roof, even
Sure.
regardless of what the economy's doing. And so I really got the opportunity to learn roofing for quite a while when I didn't have to depend on it.
That's nice.
And I think so many people like they jump into roofing. It's like sink or swim. Like your bills need to get paid. Your commission only. Like go do it. Unfortunately, I'm selling $400,000 home remodels, and then I'll go sell some roofs here and there, and I'll go to a roofing conference, and I'll go to this training, and the manufacturer will do stuff, and I'm just that nerd that'll read through code books, right? Like, and I want to know everything about how to install this thing right, and what the new products are, and all that sort of stuff. So, long story short, or long story long, I got to learn roofing. Kind of saw the opportunity there. Company I was working for, I try to just be very diplomatic about how I talk about this.
Sure.
We didn't see eye to eye anymore, and so I decided that I should work somewhere else, and decided to work for just a roofing company, and still at that time I was still doing all the different lead gen stuff. I was still knocking doors. We were getting leads on a little bit of leads online. We weren't probably could have used you, but social media, networking groups, whatever I could do to sell roofs. Buying telemarketing leads, and I had one buddy who was an insurance agent that was referring me work. And that's really where I discovered, and again, I think you'll probably see like a theme here. Like I look at the numbers, right? Like I look at all this like a math equation.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, what's most profitable and efficient for me here? Like when I knock on a door, especially in a competitive market like Denver, there's going to be 20 other guys that knock on that door.
Right.
And some of them are going to drop their shorts. They're going to eat the deductible.
Wait, that happens? People eat deductibles?
Every once in a while. And I'm a pretty good salesperson. Like you can make sure that doesn't happen much to you, but still you're going to lose some.
Right.
Right. And every one that you lose, that you spend an hour inspecting, an hour talking with the customer, maybe an hour meeting with the adjuster, and they end up having somebody else build their roof and they pay someone else to build their roof, you got paid nothing for that. And so that's all hours that, like, if you were working an hourly job and there's like, oh yeah, we didn't count those, you get paid zero for that. Like that's total BS. Which
Right.
roofing still works because you're making good money on your other hours that you're getting paid for, but it waters it down. And so I'm like, all right, that's not ideal. Like, how do I cut out as much of that as I can? There's always going to be some, but like, that's what got me. And I'm always like, obviously, like I've got my thing, like, hey, referrals from insurance agents, best thing since sliced bread or whatever. Whatever market someone's in, whatever personality they have, whatever's working for them, like don't just go do everything and then like see how it pans out. Like know your stuff. Know, okay, when I get a lead from my website, I close it at this percentage. Our profit margins are usually this. This is what it is. This is really good. And like know when I get a lead from Home Advisor that my profit margin is this and my closing ratio is this. And that closing ratio, like people are like, okay, yeah, like it's going to be what it is, which is probably true. Like obviously you get better at sales. You try to make it as good as you can make it.
Sure.
But at the same time, you have to put that into your calculations of like, how much time am I wasting with people that don't buy from me, that don't ever turn into revenue, right? Like that they're stealing time that I could be spending with someone who is going to pay me money. And not that it's like all about money, but like it's stupid to just go out there and like, I'm just going to go work myself to death and then like hope it works out. And that's what I see so many people doing. It's super frustrating. Like I want to just like shake them and be like, no, like whether it's referrals from insurance agents or website leads, or if it is Home Advisor, which I've yet to meet someone who it is, but like if that's the thing that makes you great money, then go do that. But
Matt, how do you track these things? Just with a pen and paper?
I just use like Google Sheets,
Okay.
honestly. And here's the other thing is I'll use like my Google Calendar and I'll log everything. So like even if it's after the fact, so like a lot of times I'll put stuff on my calendar, like this is what I've got from 9 to 10. I'm meeting with Mike, right? But like even if like I don't have something in my next hour block after that's hours over, I'll go back and put what I was doing in that time, and then I can go back through and analyze like, okay, what was my time? And I think even now there's all sorts of like apps and widgets and all sorts of stuff you can do to kind of track what you're spending your time on, but even if you're just getting kind of like a gut feeling of like playing it out, even if the numbers aren't perfect, you should be able to start to see trends. You should be able to see these things are working for me better than others. But that's where I got really, really passionate about there's strong evidence that these referrals from insurance agents are the most valuable use of my time by a lot. I need to replicate that. I need to scale that. And I need to stop wasting time on BNI, which is great. I've got a bunch of friends from there, but I'm spending 3 hours a week, with drive time, maybe 4 or 5 hours a week on BNI, and I get 10 deals a year.
Right. It's just opportunity, cost, and benefit, right?
Yeah. Say it's 4 hours a week times 50 weeks. That's 200 hours that I spent to get 10 jobs. Like that's 20 hours per job. You could go stand on a street corner and say, I sell roofs, and sell more than one roof every 20 hours. Right? Like if you break
That's
it down like that to
yeah,
the like the
right.
ridiculous, it's like, yeah, that's a stupid use of my time.
And you've got to
Even though
be
like it seems like,
aware.
oh, I'm being productive. I sold 10 roofs through my BNI. I sold $150,000 worth of stuff. Okay, cool. Maybe you would have a better use of your time standing on a street corner just repeating I sell roofs. Or stand at the exit ramp with a sign, I sell roofs, a little cardboard sign. You'd probably
Maybe
sell
with
more
a
roofs.
dog.
Yeah, and you get to hang out with your dog. Uh, Pick at your scabs. So,
That's funny. So let me ask you this. So a couple things. That's great insight, right? Now, do you find that a lot of contractors that you're working with that they're aware of what their time is truly worth, right? Because you made a point of talking about how important it is to maximize the time that you were putting in and what you were getting out of it. Do you find that typically your prospective clients are aware and value their time appropriately? Do you feel like it's undervalued, overvalued? What would you say on that?
I would say most people are operating in a way that they're not satisfied with. So, like, they may be making good money. It's not as good as they would hope, right?
Okay.
They may have a decent lifestyle, but there are a lot of evenings and weekends where they don't get to spend time with their family. They'd prefer to do it, but they're going to do the hard thing. They're going to go work nights and weekends. They're going to miss out on some of that stuff because they're going to take care of their family, right? Like, totally respectable thing.
Of course.
And and if you haven't seen, like, hey, I can work hard and I can control this situation just by making a couple of tweaks where I get to dictate when I'm working and the customer follows my schedule instead of me following theirs. And the customer's happy to do it if I set the boundaries for them, right? Like, which you can't do if you're desperate, right? Like if you're like just operating at that lower level, and the paradigm is like, yes, whenever you're available, Mr. Customer, I'll be over there. And I've been there. Like I've been like, you know, hey, we'll come over at 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And I know my son has his test for karate, but this person is probably a sold deal. I'm going to make some money on
Right.
it or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are operating, doing the best that they know how to do, working hard, but having experienced and seen people kind of flip that switch and start tapping into a lot more opportunities and where they get to kind of call the shots and say, this is when I'm going to be available, Mr. Customer. If you'd like to use me, this is how it's going to go. And then now you get to also like dictate terms of like, this is how we're going to work with the insurance company. If you're not
Okay.
cool with that, you go find another roofer. And
I
most
like
people
it.
are like, oh, okay, you're the expert now. But when you're
Right.
just like, yeah, Mr. Customer, you do whatever we need to do, or I'll do it however you want to do it, then you're running around, following the customer who doesn't know anything about how to run an insurance claim and build a roof and all that sort of stuff. It doesn't serve anybody, but it's again just kind of like that different paradigm that happens when you have abundant opportunities or you don't.
Yeah, and I think would you agree, like directly or intentionally or unintentionally, you're almost differentiating yourself, right, from every other contractor because not a lot of guys are doing that, right?
Yeah.
And we both know through like marketing, how can you differentiate yourself from the rest of your competition? So it's a different experience. You're taking control. There's predictability that should come along with that. That would be
Oh
very
yeah.
nice. And you can't put a price on that freedom, that autonomy from being at letting the customer be at the helm of every deal and kind of controlling your life, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well,
So,
it's so funny because like for me, I got to the point like I would have my schedule right, and like I did everything by schedules, and I would pretty much work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and and everybody else is out knocking doors on the weekends and evenings when people are going to be home or what or going to meet with customers whenever they want, but I'd be booked out for 2-3 weeks, and I've got my like 5 appointments a day for like 2, 3 weeks, and somebody's like, oh yeah, I need somebody to come look at my roof. And, hey, Tony the roofer, can come by this afternoon because he's got nothing going on. He's going to jump whenever I tell him jump. And I'm like, no, it's 2.5 weeks. I've got a 3 o'clock on Tuesday, or, it's going to be another week after that before I have another slot. They'll wait for you. They're like, that guy's time is valuable, right? Like, and you can even, like, I've seen guys like manufacture this where they like artificially like block off times where they're like, I'm only available this time. And it works. It's that scarcity.
We want what we can't have, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, it absolutely works. But at the same time, like, you can manufacture it, which is like a whole other deal. But
Sure.
ultimately, like, if you create that situation, like, now I've got my schedule booked out. And now, like, I know predictably, like, this is what I need to do. And instead of just every day, okay, where am I going to find my next roof? It's already lined up for me.
Yeah. And then you don't got to rely on things like Google.
I mean, you can. I mean, you can use Google to book out the schedule.
Yeah.
I'm not a hater on online marketing at all, man.
No, I mean, if you look at it, I own a marketing agency, and I'll tell you firsthand, like, word of mouth referral business, like, that's, if you can saturate your time by generating leads that way, like, why wouldn't you? Right?
Sure.
If you can fill your needs as far as your capacity for your sales reps, your fulfillment, and you can do whatever you're happy doing, and that might be $1 million a year, 5 million, 20 million, why wouldn't you? Why would you pay to generate leads via anything else? Because there's going to be a lower close rate associated with even the highest intent lead on Google, right?
Sure.
Or Facebook or call center, doesn't matter, you name it. So fully on board with it. I love it. So let's talk about how restoration referral system can take somebody whose life is essentially being run by their customers, right? And then put them into that situation where there's a semblance of scarcity, there's credibility, and they've got a much better work-life balance.
Sure. So again, like, what we do is training. So it's a little bit different. Like, we're not doing a lead service. It's not like a done for you thing. Because ultimately a referral relationship with an insurance agent is you're making promises, and you're going to have to be the one to keep those promises. So I can't go make those promises for you. And so, for me, being able to scale those relationships and do that predictably came down to figuring out what those agents wanted from me. So just like you guys know, like, okay, what is Google looking for from this website to, like, choose them as the number one thing? Like, we're looking at, like, what is this agent looking for? What are their triggers? What are their hot buttons? And it's really predictable. Like, when you start to get into it, like, I know the 6 things that they care about the most, and I can even rank them pretty darn accurately. And so I know these are the 6 points that I need to hit. And most roofers aren't talking about, they may talk about 3 of the 6. That 2 of the 6 probably aren't even on their radar. They're not even showing up to the party. So if I can nail 10 out of 10 out of all 6 of those categories, I win. Most guys, even if they recognize these referral relationships with insurance agents are really good, they go in, hey, I'm Matt with XYZ Roofing. We're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. We're triple platinum preferred with our shingle manufacturer, and I'm a really nice guy. I'm going to take care of your customer, right? And it's the same thing that the 100 guys before him came in and said. And so if you're the same as everybody else, that's not going to make them have a conversion. They're going to keep working with the guy they've been working with, that brought them the nice donuts that they like, that, kept their customer happy, that didn't create any problems. Like, as long as they didn't totally drop the ball, they're going to keep the ball unless you can blow them out of the water. And so we're just really intentional and calculated at checking all those boxes for them, doing that in a really effective way, creating a relationship where everybody wins. The contractor wins, the customer wins, the agent wins. And that allows us to convert that relationship. And unlike when you sell a roof, you get to go like, hey, let's sign a contract and like this is locked in and like it's done. Like I sold you right now. It's different with a relationship where I need to sell them on an ongoing basis. Like they need to continue to believe that I am the best thing for them. Right?
Okay.
Like or they can change at any one point in time. Start sending their referrals to somebody else or just stop sending them to me. And so it's a little bit different conversion than what a lot of roofers are used to. There's not a ton of follow up required. That's one question I get a lot. They're like, "Oh yeah, do I need to like check in with them every week or what?" Like, no, like just keep being the best option for them, and and take care of business and do good stuff. And so like one agent though isn't gonna like totally transform your life. Like it'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I got 10 deals this year off of that agent. Cool. For most people, that's not gonna like change things that much. But if you have a process that's effective, and I can go apply that and build up a network of 10 agents, 20 agents, 30 agents for myself.
Right.
Now I have a steady stream of business that's always coming in, and I get to be targeted about which carriers I'm working with. I get those agents to advocate for me to make sure that our claims are getting paid, that they're getting like pushed through, and so it just creates this abundance where it's like I know I've got business coming in. I don't need to go beg for it somewhere. I kind of joke with people about door knocking, begging at people's doors for business or whatever, but. And I've done plenty of door knocking, and there's plenty of great guys that do it. But I think if you're doing good quality work, if you have integrity, like if you are the better companies, like if you're the person that you would want installing your roof, you shouldn't have to compete at doors with some of the scumbags that are out there. Because the scumbags can knock on a door the same way you can. They can't access referral relationships. At least if they do, they're not gonna last. And so that's where you have an unfair advantage against the bad guys, because the bad guys have lower costs, right? Because they don't have to like do good customer service, right? Like,
Yeah, maybe they have insurance, maybe they don't.
right, yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, they're not gonna fix issues that they have. They're not gonna install good quality shingles, like whatever. Like they have unfair advantages to you in some ways, right? And I'm not advocating doing business in a bad way, but I'm saying like there are areas that they have an advantage on you. So like, don't
Sure.
compete with them there. That's stupid. Go compete
Right.
with them in areas that you have an unfair advantage. And the whole point is just creating those opportunities where it puts you in the driver's seat. It allows you to control the situation and be more intentional about your the outcome rather than just going out there and working yourself to death and hoping that things work out for you.
I like it. That's, again, great insight. So, but let me ask you this. Can't we just do the send a box of donuts to get top of mind with an agent, and that's enough to separate us a little bit? And maybe we follow up once or twice with them?
I mean, you can. I mean, that's what people have been doing for 40 years, right? And that's, what a lot of my clients' competitors are still doing. But one, you're going to look like everybody else. And so you will, like, if you go meet with 10 agents and you go drop off a box of donuts and you let them know how great of a roofer you are, all that sort of stuff, you'll probably close one out of those 10, maybe two,
Okay.
on referring some of their business to you. Usually you get put on a list of like 3 contractors, right? Super common. And people are like, hey, that's a win for me. A box of donuts is $10. I spent $100. I got this agent. I'll get 5 roofs off of them. It was $100 to get 5 roofs. Cool, that's a win. And like there's an ROI there. But if you calculate in, okay, I spent 30 minutes on each one of those. So I spent 5 hours dropping off donuts and meeting with all these agents. That was 5 hours to get those 5 roofs. Still
Right.
not terrible ROI, but like it's getting
Sure.
worse. So, like, what if I could go to those agents and I'll probably spend an hour with them, but I'm going to close half of them. And I'm not going to close them on send me, put me on a list of roofers. So I'm bidding against other guys. I'm the guy. I am absolutely the best option for you. I'm going to help you win. I'm going to help you make more money. I'm going to make your customers happier. They're going to stick with you longer. Um, when you can have that type of conversion at that high of a rate, now the numbers really start to make sense. And I don't have to buy donuts. If anything, I'm going to go eat the donuts that the other jack
Yeah,
leg
I
dropped
like
off.
that. What's your favorite type of donuts for those watching?
I like a chocolate cake donut with chocolate ice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I can get down with that. Nice. So you're going to close at a higher percentage, which is, if you can take something that's good and make it better, make it great, like fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's going to be more of an exclusive relationship,
Yeah.
which I think is very, very valuable.
Yeah. Again, looking at that closing ratio, like even if I'm a great salesperson, even if I have a great company that I'm representing, all that sort of stuff, if I'm dealing with the customers getting 3 bids, I'm not going to close 100% of those. I'm going to close, say you're awesome, you close half of those instead of a third of those, which is your proportion. That's still half the time I'm wasting. And so, not that I'm not advertising you're always going to have this exclusive, you're never going to deal with competition, but it's less often. And that makes a difference where if I'm putting in my 40 hours or my 60 hours or whatever my bandwidth is, I'm filling it with things that are going to pay me money and going to pay me good margins.
Yeah, that's nice. Sounds like an ideal situation if I'm a roofing contractor.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this. So we sign up today, Matt. We're super excited to start working with you. So what can we expect as a roofing company internally as far as like a timeline to get everybody up to speed to where now we're closing that high percentage of those relationships and we're reaping the benefits
Yeah.
of partnering up?
So we do our program as what I call like a hybrid training program. So we have an online university. There's professionally recorded videos. There's modules you can go through where you got video, you've got text, you've got PDFs, you've got call scripts, you've got everything laid out for you, kind of step by step. Like we try to make sure there's no gaps. Like you get everything you need without having to be like, here's 600 hours of video that you're never going to get through, right? Like here's everything you need, nothing that you don't. There's some supplemental stuff if you want to dig deeper into a certain topic, it's there for you. But from the time someone signs up for us with us, they get access to that online university immediately. And then I do live coaching as well. So it's not like a one or the other. It's like if you're working with me, I want to make sure no holds barred, you have everything you need to be successful with this. And so it's not just like, hey, we do like a monthly group call, join in. It's like, I need some help with this. Because our market is different, our company is different, my personality is different. I need some help customizing what you've trained us on into how I go out and use this in the real world. So they'll go on our website, they'll schedule with us and say, hey, Matt, Thursday at 11 a.m., can we get on a Zoom call for an hour and work through this stuff? Can you listen to my pitch and give me feedback on my tone and the way that I'm delivering this and make sure I'm not forgetting anything? And so I just think there's some things in online learning that can't be accomplished just through watching a recorded video. There's a lot that can. Like I can reach so many more people. They can watch it at midnight in their boxer shorts and they can watch it 5 times over without tying up my time, right? Like, so it's an efficiency thing for me, but also
Sure.
like if I need to hold everybody's hand for every moment of their training, I need to charge 5 times as much, right? Like I want it to make it as convenient as possible most of the time where you're watching the recording stuff, but also have that personal touch to be able to apply. I always feel weird about this, like my expertise in this, but like I focus on one topic all day long, every day. Like in my narrow little lane, there's not much that I can't address that I that I can't help with, right? Like
Sure.
in my specialty, I can probably answer just about any question somebody can throw at me. And so I think that's important that they get that piece, because the whole point of this is sharpening the axe, right? So we can be more efficient when we cut. And that razor's edge of that very specific, hey, when you do this, when you call the agent and you say this, make your tone like this at the beginning of the call. Like, change those little nuances are what really just make this killer. So you gave me like timeline was the question. Literally from the time someone signs up, they can go through that training in day one. And I usually tell people, hey, break it up into the 3 days. But you can go through it in your first day if you really want to. Or you can break it up into 3 days. Get on a call with me on day 4. And from day 4, the most important thing about any training, go put it into action. Like, don't just learn all this stuff.
Execution.
Be super smart with it. Like, start doing it. Even if you learn it halfway, you're going to learn so much more by actually going out and doing it. Sometimes getting your teeth kicked in because you forgot the other half of it.
Sure.
But that's going to be a really good teacher of like, oh yeah, I need to learn this. And people like in the door knocking side, like people know this, like I'm going to get my pitch, like I'm going to practice my pitch and like be, thoughtful about what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go out and do it. And maybe I totally drop the ball and totally screw up. And I look like
baptism by fire.
I look like an idiot. Well, there's another
Right.
door 50 feet away.
I'll never see this person again. It's fine.
Yeah, no big deal. Like I've heard all sorts of stories about guys like knocking doors and like, especially like their first door ever, just like marbles come out of their mouth. They're just like, do you need a roof? Right? Like, like totally forget all their training or whatever. And still like there's another door 50 feet away. Same principle applies with insurance agents. Even in like a small market, there's a bunch of agents. And so like, yes, you do want to practice this. You do want to do it right. But like there's more reps out there. If you go screw something up, you're going to do a lot better remembering half of what I've taught you than just learning all of it and never going out and using it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So literally in their first week, they can start being successful with that. Certainly within their first month, they can start to see ROI on that. So that's why we do, we've got like 110% 30-day money back guarantee. So like we let people like do the train, like go through the training, like meet with me, like learn all of it, go out and try it. If it doesn't work for you, we'll literally pay them for their time. I've had 2 people take me up on that out of probably close to 200.
I mean, 2 is not a lot.
It's not a lot. And honestly,
that's pretty amazing.
Honestly, both of those 2, I'm pretty sure they were just new companies that were broke, and they were like, oh, that's money that I can pull back.
Sure.
So whatever, we still refunded them. But like, there's no stipulations on it. Oh, like, oh, you didn't make enough calls. Like, no, it's day 29. You want your money back? Here you go. And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. So we buy into the university. What's the cost to get onboarded?
It's $4,800 per year.
Okay, so essentially one claim, right, from one of these relationships. Sure. And you're
call it 2. Yeah.
Call it 2.
Sure.
All right. Small roofs.
Yeah.
Small roofs. Got it. With State Farm.
There you go.
I'm joking.
You're not. Well, if you don't like State Farm, don't go meet with their agents. Because guess what? Guess what type of claims
so you have
State
control,
Farm
right?
agents are going to refer to you? State Farm claims. So yeah, that's to me, it's as much about and we didn't even really talk about this so much, but it's as much about getting more customers and creating that abundance and that whole paradigm as I'm going to target those carriers that I know are going to pay me at a 55-60% margin without a lot of fighting, instead of targeting those carriers that are going to pay me at a 35-40% margin after I wrestle them in the mud. Right.
So you're systematically creating your ideal customer and a pipeline of those ideal customers with some upfront investment of a little bit of money, a little bit of time, and then just execute it.
Yep.
With 110% money back guarantee.
Yeah, with no risk. So,
Love it.
yeah.
Yeah. Sign me up. I'm opening a roofing company.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And so you also do when you say you could schedule time, they get to meet with you directly or a team member?
It's me.
So they get to meet with the pioneer if they got any questions.
Yep.
That's amazing. You mentioned that you read a lot of books, Matt. So what's the most impactful book that you've read recently?
I would say I bounce around a lot, honestly. In terms of like reading lately, like sometimes I'll like go read through a whole book, but sometimes I'm just like, let me read a chapter of this book and then bounce around and read a chapter of this book. I would say a book that I've been talking to a lot of people about here recently, which I've skimmed through recently. I read through a few years ago, is Fanatical Prospecting.
Fanatical
By
Prospecting.
Jeb
Let's hear more about
Blount.
it.
And quick summary of that is really just looking at your, it's a lot of the things that have kind of like trained me on the way I think about business, but looking at your opportunities and looking at how you generate those opportunities and just being systematic about continuously filling that funnel, like continuously staying on top of it. And also, I think a big thing for me also was, and like 10X rule kind of talks about this as well. Like if you have a handful of opportunities, say I have like 5 roofing companies that I might sell my training to or whatever, and I just hound those 5 to death, right? Like one that's like stinks of desperation and they're probably not going to do business with me anyway. But also like, out of those 5, there may be some people that like you don't know what they have going on, right? Like it may be that like they're just covered up with leads from a Send Digital agency, and they just don't like have time for anything else. It may be that like they're completely broke, and like no matter how well you sell this, they don't have the money, they can't get the financing, like whatever the case is. Like if you've got 5 roofs that you're trying to sell and you're focused on those 5 opportunities, and one of them, his brother's a roofer, he's just not going to tell you that, right? Like you're never going to sell that person. Another one already had a claim, they already got paid out and they went and lost it all in Vegas or whatever. Like you're chasing that deal because you think it is. You don't have all the information, right? Like whatever the case is, like they don't like you because you have a beard, and like they hate people with beards, or like whatever the thing is. Like they're
Sure.
like, if you're hyper focused on those 5, maybe like you spend all your time focusing on those 5, and then maybe like 2 of them flush out, and they were going to flush out anyway, even if you didn't focus all your attention on it. Or you say, okay, I got those 5. Let me go out and create another 5 opportunities. Let me go create another 5 opportunities. Let me go create another 5 opportunities. And like follow up with them, stay in touch with them. But like I want to create a situation where like I'm pressed for like, hey, customer, if you need something, reach out to me. Let me know if you're ready to go. But I'm not going to hound you. I don't have time for that. And then now the customers, again, that like the customer's chasing you. And they're like, okay, yeah, I want to work with you. But you can't do that when you've got 5 opportunities. You can do that when you have 50. And you're kind of hoping that some of them fall through just because you don't have time to deal with all these customers.
Right.
Right. And so the book is really simple in terms of just like being fanatical about constantly filling that funnel, constantly creating new opportunities. But it's one of those things where like if you read 200 pages of them just bashing this simple idea into your head, it starts to stick.
Right. I like it. Yeah, and I mean, I think that there's a lot to be said about the desperation aspect and how many people in sales, and not just roofing sales, sales in general, come from a place of desperation. And it's funny because I try to reflect on things and like, who wants the desperate person, right? So if I think back to my fiance when we first started talking, if I messaged her every day, first thing in the morning, I responded immediately, checked in 20 times a day, we probably wouldn't be where we're at right now, right?
Yeah. And the chick that would have worked with, you don't want, I promise you.
Right. So, yeah, I heard that from a friend, I swear. So there's a lot to be said about that, and I think that's just an invaluable point, man. A lot of people sell from a point of desperation, and it creates. We want to create an allure around doing business with us, and it does the exact opposite.
Yeah.
But it's good that the restoration referral system will help solve that. So, how do people contact you, Matt, if they want to move forward?
They can contact us. Probably the easiest way is through our website, restorationreferralsystem.com. They can email me, matt@restorationreferralsystem.com, or they can give me a call at 615-947-0110. That's actually my number. So that'll come right to me. On the website, they can also schedule a call. If they're just like, if they're reaching out at midnight, I'm probably not going to get that because I'm that weird guy that goes to bed at like 9:30 and gets up at 4.
Sure.
But they can schedule something with me during the day, and we can give them our full attention.
Do you have a place where people can view the experience of maybe some of your past customers that have done business with you?
So, yes, we do have a bunch of reviews that are on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook, on our Google, on our, we've got video testimonials, we've got all that sort of stuff. And my favorite form of marketing is not digital marketing. It's not referral marketing. Well, it's kind of referral marketing. This is kind of a little hack that I learned. You can use this too, and you maybe already do. Is like I get people like, hey, can you give me references? And I'm like, yeah, I totally can. I'll probably give you a list of like 3 of my favorite customers that I've done the best with, right? But I'm going to cherry pick them the same way you would. Like, here's 3 of my customers that we did a great job on their roof and they didn't have any problems and they were super happy, even though you have some customers that were probably not super happy with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
So like, I'm like, hey, would you go into a Facebook group and ask them what if they've worked with me, what they think of it? And like, don't go shill for me, just go like ask. And because like the stuff that we have works, and because like I truly care about helping my clients be successful, my clients like pay it back. And they're like, somebody's asking about this. Matt made me $1 million this year. Right. I'll write a comment for him. And then 20 people that have never even heard about me see that thread, and see 50 people, commenting about how this made them $1 million, and then they sign up too. So that's my little guerrilla marketing tactic. And also, if you're wondering about this and you don't want me to just connect you up with my 3 favorite customers, then go on social media and ask, and everybody wins.
There you go. Well, there you have it. Well, Matt, really appreciate your time today, brother. Love what you're doing for the industry. And make sure you guys go check them out. It'll be worth your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.